I'm Louise Richards, I'm Executive Director of Motionhouse, and I've worked very closely with Fabric on what this project looks like. Really excited to have Sander here with us. It's the first time as a company we've ever done anything like this, so we've already learnt a huge amount through the recruitment process. It's wonderful having him in the space, and I'm really looking forward to see where this journey takes us.
Hi, my name is Sander. I use the he/they pronouns, and I'm here to shadow Kevin. So currently I want to gain more experience with being in the process and seeing the whole process and imagining what I would want to see in those moments and dive into it, but also get to know all the other roles that other people actually have, and to also see the communication in between the different people, and in this case, like Kevin also interacts with it, and also the ideas that he has and in what order everything needs to happen to get the end product. I think after this, it's to go out there, start my own project, so I can actually use all the tools that I've gained, but also really use the knowledge I have and it's almost like kind of just testing out the exact same things, see how that would work for me.
The shape of this project is actually open to discovery. We knew that we really wanted to find a way to open our process up to be as inclusive as possible and to enable a disabled emerging choreographer to come in and kind of learn from us, to be a sponge and to hopefully inform their practice and their work in future. As a company, we have a number of areas that we explore. There's the choreography, but there's also collaboration with a range of partners. So there's lots of room there for growth for the individual. So we're very open for Sander to figure out what his journey is, and we hope to be able to support and facilitate that.
I think what I really enjoy about hearing how Kevin works, it's Kevin really in his head about like what choreographic ideas he has. And then Danny is more often than not the interpreter of like, okay, but this is what that means for dancers. If you're a dancer, this is what your task is. So there's also that interesting difference. And working with Kevin and also Kevin getting feedback. That's really interesting because he's actually really open about feedback. And it's interesting to see Kevin and Louise work together because Louise will be brutally honest and Kevin will be like, okay, I see where that might be the case or what I can do with it. I think it's the complete trust of like your opinion matters and you're giving your opinion to make this better, not in spite of anything. And it makes me also think about what I would want in the future and how I would want to do that and have those moments of like, yeah, I would probably also just really like honesty because then you can change based on the opinion.
It's been fantastic having Sander in the space. We didn't really know what to expect because like anything new, you don't know till you do something. And like anybody, I guess we had a certain number of preconceptions, which are always misplaced, no matter what the situation. I've really enjoyed watching him. I feel like I've seen building blocks of him growing as an artist. So he's gone from being the observer, which he was for quite a short while, to being very engaged and in a conversation about the process, to then actively trying and experimenting for himself and really taking the opportunity that is there. The creation of Hidden is a vehicle, basically. It's not the be-all and end-all. It's a period in time that's a rarefied period where there are a group of people working creatively in a space. For Sander to both be like a sponge and learn from Kevin, but also to be able to utilise the space and utilise the people to start to explore his own language has been really great. That wasn't something we knew would happen. That's entirely dependent on him as an individual feeling confident enough in the space to do that, because that can be quite exposing. And for him, he was very much trying things and he was very open in talking to me and saying, oh, well, that didn't work how I thought, or oh, I failed with that one, and giving things a second go. And that's really brave to do that in a professional environment when you're with a group of people who know each other and work together.
I've started working with 3 of the dancers that are not in the main company because I was really interested to see which choreographic tasks work, what kind of brief works with them. And I have also noticed, it's hard to put it in words, but there is a bridge between being a disabled choreographer and non-disabled dancers. Me as a wheelchair user, it's also that translation through the 2 languages. Translation in this sense really means like translating between 2 languages, from English to, let's say, German. Some things of course get lost, some words there's no direct translation. I work with wheels, they work with legs. It's kind of finding common language, but also there is words like walking. I mean, you can tell me to walk, but I'm not really doing that. I will roll towards you. If you would say roll to a standing dancer, they can also roll, but they will do something completely different than, let's say, walking. You use your vocabulary and you use your words. But what does that mean to my body? I found loads of stuff that don't work, where I was like, wow, okay, we are 2 different worlds. I need to figure out what does work in this kind of situation. It was also experimenting. So I was experimenting with certain things that I knew that wouldn't work. I kind of just wanted to know how they would respond to how I would do it normally, or how I would do it with other disabled people, or how they respond to like more open language. And it's really interesting to see kind of where their minds are at. I also wonder if this is the part where detail and movement quality is actually put together. There you go. There we go. Oh, nice. I saw a little like ta 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 ta, like a little ricochet. It's great. Now don't get too carried away. We're not even finished yet.
I think there's always an interesting bridge between theory and practice with absolutely everything in life. And over the years, Kevin and I have accumulated a lot of experience of working with a massive range of people. So we're very comfortable at working in an integrated way in a variety of contexts. But what we've never had before is a wheelchair user working with us basically sort of full time, albeit for a finite period. I think the first thing that I've learned about that is that it's not as scary as it might have been. I think that is the word. I think that we all try to do the best that we can. If we haven't had experience of something, we worry we're going to get it wrong. It's been really reassuring actually to realise that we made a reasonable fist of putting in place the right measures, but also we're oblivious to barriers simply because we hadn't had them pointed out to us. So we work in a Grade 2 listed building which has got these whoppingly heavy doors. That of course on Sander couldn't physically open them. And that was at first sort of distressing and a bit shocking to have been oblivious to that. But then actually you realise that's part of our learning, is that you can take a sort of theoretical understanding of access, but actually to truly apply it is very individualised, and there's nuance that we wouldn't have otherwise known. So I feel I've learned a lot about that. I've also learned you don't have to treat anybody differently, and I think there can be a tendency to make extra concessions in a way which we shouldn't. And Sander's taught me that just because somebody has different needs, you still start from the same starting point.
I'm Emma. I'm currently on placement at Motionhouse as part of their artist development programme. I've been taking company class, shadowing Kevin in the creation of Hidden alongside Sander, and engaging in the creative learning. For me, Sander has been such a huge support and guidance when it comes to all things disability. I'm very new to it, and he's just been there through this whole process. He's been great, and I'm really grateful for the knowledge that he's shared with me. I think a massive thing for me is accessibility. It's the environment, it's not you, and it's working with a company or whoever to make sure that it's accessible in the first place. That can be from access riders to learning agreements. This is things that it would have helped if I had them in sooner, but because of working with Sada and the company and Rachel, it's been great to have all of that put together and then to be able to see the effect of that in the process, and it's really suiting me well. I'm really interested in creative learning, and so that's been really great as well, working with the creative learning team, to be able to have the knowledge of how to kind of start and make a show like this is just great. I think there's so much to unpick with creative work. There's a lot of different routes that you can take, so it's really exciting.
As a company, we're always looking for new projects. We don't stand still, we're always looking for what the next opportunity may be. We are genuinely at the kind of core DNA of the organisation, committed to making our work as accessible in its broadest sense as we possibly can. So I think it's just in there on a fundamental level to look for more opportunities like this. Sector development is a really big thing that we're committed to. We do a huge amount of, as well as our integrated practice across our programme. I hope that this project will demonstrate that there is a real gap in support for disabled artists who want to lead a process. As with all these things, one needs the perfect storm. Sounds like a negative thing, but the perfect combination of funding, opportunity, partnership in order to deliver projects like this. I will absolutely be looking out for them again. I think we've got a lot now that we can pass on to the wider sector, as well as carry on developing our own learning.
I'm Danny Massarella. I'm the Assistant Director at Motionhouse. And my role at Motionhouse, what it boils down to is that I facilitate Kevin's vision. So I look after the performers, rehearse sections that need rehearsing, involve myself with the creative decisions, including the film, the set design, the music, and the creative briefs given to the dancers. It's actually been great having Sander in the space. He asks all of the right questions that I sometimes don't know the answers to. It's actually questioned what my role is and made me realise how valuable this role is to facilitate Kevin and his ideas and the process. I think the longevity of the project, how intense it's been, Sander coming in from early stages to now like seeing it through to premiere, I think it's been most beneficial for me learning from Sander, but also Sander learning from us. I think if it was a smaller 2-week kind of intensive thing, the pleasantries are there and everyone tries to be nice, answer questions, and then the more you get to know someone, the deeper you get, the deeper your questions can be, the more understanding you have. You can't hide the harshness of some conversations. Uncomfortable conversations are so important, especially, like I said, with this many collaborators on one show. Every voice has to be heard and listened to, and then ultimately Kevin has to direct those voices into one product, which is the show. So being here for all of that time, if you're here for just 2 weeks, you might not have the conversations with the composer, or you miss the conversations with the set designer or the lighting designer, the costume designer, because they don't all happen at once. So the fact that he's been here and seen, oh, costume designer's in today, oh, lighting designer's in tomorrow, he's been able to see all of those elements and the conversations around them and how they all start to come into the same place.
Hello, my name's Kevin Finnan. I am the Artistic Director of Motionhouse and one of its co-founders with Louise Richards, and I'm also the choreographer of Motionhouse, having choreographed all Motionhouse's shows. It's interesting because over the process, his depth of questioning has deepened. As we all do, we all come in with our set idea of who we are and what we're doing. But then when you're engaging in a living process that's growing and you're being challenged and you're being developed, and his thoughts about making a work appear to me to be changing and developing, and I hope that that's the case for him, really. It's very interesting because I'm just making my work, and I'm very clear with him and with Emma. There is a period of time in which to get this done, and it's defined by money. You have to find a way of controlling the timeline and making sure that you can deliver it on the time, because that's the only time you will get. So with all of these things, you make the best you can in the time you have.
It's nice to have, for instance, the day where Danny does a lot of cleaning. I also love seeing that, and then being able to almost interview Kevin these past days. That's been quite nice to get to know more about how he works. And I think the growth for me has also led to being more aware of being in the space. First of all, what it means to bring my experience that I have, and also focusing on more different areas of the company to see what's up with Motionhouse Youth, for instance. It's also quite interesting, the conversations that I've had. I want to support support other disabled artists more and feel like I'm kind of getting to the place where I know kind of what is required and what's needed, and that it can just be nice to be there to listen to someone. That's quite apparent to me, and just how much I'm itching to start. I'm a little bit concerned about, have I picked up everything I want to pick up? Am I going to be able to use every bit of info that I've soaked up here? I think just gonna see how the way he works, how that will affect in my work, and then kind of find a happy medium and to improve my way of working. And kind of just feeling the fire right now to start. I want to have more space with some dancers and create. I just need to know how these things impact my work. I need to know how my new knowledge is gonna reach across to other dancers. I think now I dare to start again, and I'm not too scared of, oh, what if I don't know this, or what if I should have done that? I'm just like, okay, I'm starting with this. So I think I'm less afraid of making mistakes after this. So some of the practical issues that I'm facing are very steep ramps, if I'm honest, and lots of doors. And also the combination of, I think, the world's steepest ramp with a door straight on it is quite tough. Even with a handbike attachment, I am sliding all over the place just to try and get up. So that's really tough. I think the clearest barrier that I'm facing is there's 2 places in the auditorium for wheelchair spaces, one of which is currently open during the production week, but it is still either on the left side or the right side. Production tables in the middle, so not being able to reach there, not being able to hear everything that's happening, and not being able to get near the dancers. But having been here a bit longer, I have found that it helps to have comms and I can watch a little bit from the side, but it's not fully there yet. But together with Emma, we can piece together who is saying what. I will be here on comms and she will be in the auditorium just behind the tech table. Then through WhatsApp, we can kind of change what she's hearing, what I'm hearing, and then we get to piece together everything. So that's been quite valuable to figure out that barrier. What I've learned more is that I will persevere because I want to, and I will try very hard to. I'm learning more of how well equipped I am to adjust to it, and I'm able to keep a cool head. That helps, but yeah.
I'm Doreen Foster, Director of Warwick Arts Centre. It was really a great pleasure to welcome Motionhouse back to the Arts Centre for the premiere of Hidden. As always, our technical teams worked collaboratively together to ensure that we could create the most welcoming experience for both crew and visiting members of the public. Whilst we have gone through a major capital project, we are in the 1970s building and there are some changes that it has just not been possible to make. We actively seek out and do receive feedback from artists and creatives and have been taking their views into consideration. In that context, we're really grateful for the feedback that we received from Sander, and we're already starting to make changes. We're looking into the feasibility of how we might improve accessibility on that very steep ramp back of stage, and hopefully the improvements we're able to make will enable us to offer a positive experience for both artists and visitors to the Arts Centre alike.
I think we all seek to grow in everything that we do, and I think there's been real tangible growth for all parties in this project. I think I've really seen Sander grow in confidence, his ability to articulate his observations, his engagement in conversation and creative conversation, the grasping of opportunities to dynamically explore. I've seen all of those aspects of him as an artist grow. He's become really open in talking about his own work, his future projects, his plans. And I think that's a wonderful thing to see. I think all artists have to be encouraged to come out of their shell and find their space and find their voice. And parallel to that, as a company, through inviting Sander and also Emma into our process, it has challenged us to think differently about how we engage on every level. The way we talk about the work, the vocabulary that we use, the pacing of the day, the opportunities for breaks for conversation, understanding in a practical way, not just a theoretical way, about the need for different artists to engage with a day in a different way. I feel like I've got a much deeper understanding of that, and as a company that's been really important for us.
I mean, I've learned a lot from Sander. I've not worked with a disabled artist in that capacity before, and I think Motionhouse are a really open company and that we want to strive to be as inclusive as possible. I thought I'd done a good job at setting everything up and getting ready, and then day one, Sander comes in and goes like, well, the first aid box is on the top shelf. I'd never even thought of lowering the first aid box, and the door's too heavy. Just things that I think I would never have realised unless Sander was there to tell me. So I've learned all of those accessibility factors, but I've also learned from Sander to be more inquisitive. He asks so many questions, and I tend to just assume that this is the answer, and actually what I've learned from him is that the more questions you ask, the more knowledge you get. And I say it to the dancers, like, from a dance point of view, the more knowledge you have, the more power you have, because you can fix stuff, or if anything goes wrong live, you can, like, the more knowledge and understanding you have of that situation, you can move on. But again, I'm in a new role in the company now, so the amount of questions that Sander's been asking me, I've been forced to try and come up with an answer, and therefore I've discovered that information that ultimately is going to feed my career and my knowledge too, because now I'm gathering answers from questions that I never thought I would ask.
The thoughtful questioning of what you're doing is always a positive add-in to what you have. And so when you start out, you just make your own work and you do it. The longer and further you go, and etc., and I've been making for a very long time now, as you go on, you have your own thing, but you do need to keep challenging yourself. And then if you've got a couple of people around you who are in a non-negative way going, don't know, maybe, could this be, do that? It's very useful, because then you have to enter into the discussion, and if you can't for yourself resolve why you're going to stick with what you're going, then you need to listen to what they're saying and go, oh, okay, maybe this will help. All of that makes for a richer composition, really. So yes, it's been great having Sander around.